Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Filling Your Cup. I'm your co-host, or one of your hosts, David.
I'm your other host, Calvin. What's up?
Yo, today we're talking about, 2 videos ago, we talked about, the mass exodus of California, people leaving, right? So right now we're going to talk about, hey, is it a good time to buy a home? Well, it depends, right? So let's just dive right into it, all right? So right now, interest rates. Interest rates are really freaking low right now. If you compare to fourth quarter last year, which is basically October, November, December, the average, this is like the average for like the country. The average mortgage rate is around 3.94%, median price 233,880. I mean, that's not even, I don't think this pertains to, like the really big, states like California, New York, because this is definitely not the average, but the interest rates are, relatively the same. It's around 3.7. And right now, this year over COVID, we see that interest rate dip to around 2.84%. And there's even I've seen like 2.5%, depending on how good your credit score are, where you're living at, etc., etc. But as you can see, there's like it's like a 1% savings, and over a course of a 30-year mortgage or 30-year mortgage, you save a pretty penny, man. You save around $20,000 on this house, right? But if you compare that to like a $800,000 house, you're probably saving like almost 4 times that. So you do the math. So yes, right now interest rates is really low, so it's kind of enticing to buy a new home, right? But the caveat is right now it's easy to borrow money, so that's why interest rate is so low. But it also means that home prices are really high as well because of the new available of cash that people can spend, right? So it's like a double-edged sword, low interest rate but high price. So you're getting shafted somewhere. All right, next, Calvin, hit us.
All right. So, when you buy a home, make sure you found the right one and you're committed to that home. Because you have to live in it for at least 5 years. Why? Because to build your equity, right? Your houses hopefully will get worth more and more, and you get more equity. And B, to reduce closing costs. So if you don't plan to live in it in your home for more than 5 years, the buying and selling will cost 2 to 5% to buy and to sell. So if you buy, let's say, $1 million home, 2% is $20,000 just for buying a home or selling a home. 5% is like $50,000 on $1 million home, and that's normal in the Bay Area right now, where we live. So make sure you're committed. Make sure you're committed to the house, living in 5 years, so you could build on the equity and reduce some of the big closing costs. So because if you sell it too soon, you're not gonna make that amount back. You're gonna lose money, in fact, on those closing costs alone. So make sure you're committed. And right now, like you said, interest rates are low. And if you find a good home, go for it. Mm-hmm. Next.
All right. So buying a house as an investment. So for this is gonna be a 2-part answer. So it's gonna be a yes and a no. So to personally, I feel that if you are buying a home as an investment in the city right now, is not a good investment, because as you can see, there's a lot of people leaving the major cities for greener pastures, I must say. Because there's not much greens in the city, right? That's kind of like a pun I try to come up with. City rents has been like going down steeply over the past of COVID, right? So I think the average, rents average pre-COVID was like $4,000 in the city, and now is as low as like 2.5K for the same unit that you're gonna get. So rent has clearly decreased over COVID, right? And we don't know that if the rent will ever go back up to the the rate before, because the rent was so high before because all the tech people that was working here. But then a lot of companies, such as like Twitter, and like other big companies, they allow their employees to go work remote now, and even some companies they left the city, and they, as a whole, like they just left the city because they don't feel that they need they don't need a working space or working environment, office in the city anymore, because it just doesn't make sense. So that's why if you're buying a house as an investment, I feel like if you're buying it in the city, it's definitely not a good purchase right now, because all the uncertainty, right? And especially like a lot of people who rent in the city are like office workers, or and then like even like there's like retail workers, right? And you don't know if those jobs are coming back. So if those jobs are not coming back, then who's gonna rent your place? Nobody. So that's kind of like why I think it's not a good time to buy in the city. But if you were buying an investment home in the suburbs, I think it's still a pretty good investment, because one, a lot of people are moving to the suburbs, whether it's living, whether as a rental or our first home purchase. They're all flocking to the suburbs because it's just a better, it's like a better living environment out there. It feels, right, compared to the city. And because a lot of workers are remote workers now, they can work anywhere. So they technically, you would kind of want to move to the suburbs to live there if you could work there, since you only commute to the city anymore. So might as well just live there. So I think the demand for housing will go up in the suburbs due to all the people leaving the city. So I think, yeah, buying a home as an investment is a yes if you're buying in the suburbs because of the new demand, and no in the city because of the decrease in demand. Supply and demand. That's kind of how economics works, and that's kind of what I think, right? So Calvin, what do you think?
So, if you buy a house for yourself, and let's say you do find that perfect house, so right now it's a great time, like you mentioned earlier, to lock into that low interest rate. Make sure so you're able to borrow more money, buy that house that you want to live in. And since the vaccine news is coming out, the vaccine is coming out, excuse me. More and more people are getting vaccinated, which means we could hopefully slowly return to our normal lives. Businesses will open. Tech companies may ask their employees to come back to their work jobs, and that may cause the interest rate to go back up, because the economy is churning again. So lock in your low interest rate right now, before it goes up. Suburbs. So not to bash in the city, but people are leaving away from the city to get away from the dense population of the cities, because we don't want their space. Where the suburbs can offer to space is a safer environment, lower crime compared to the city, good school districts, etc. So suburbia area, if you find a good house, it's a good place to live. And also number 3, appreciation. If you buy a house right now on a low interest rate, houses will appreciate. You'll get more equity. That's if you, like I mentioned before, don't sell your house within the first couple of years to reduce some of that closing costs. So buying a house makes sense if you're buying if you find a good one. Cool.
And also that, like, appreciation really only matters if you buy a house under market value, right? And there are gonna be houses where it's distressed, and like people can't pay their mortgage, people can't pay their rent, whatever, like mortgage, right? And they have to sell the house because of these circumstances. And if you can find one that's under market, then that's where you get the appreciation for the buying the house. But anyway, because like if you buy the house at a really high price, the it might not appreciate that much, because if it's already like gone up like 30% over the past of the year, right? And it's kind of hard to see it to keep going up. But appreciation works in a funny way. It's kind of just go up gradually. So I guess appreciation will always be there, whether you're buying a house for investment or living in. That's always a given. But yes, that's like a really that's like a benefit of buying a house. You know, just whether it's investment or living, it's the appreciation of it. So yeah, that kind of ends our video. Right now, I think me and Calvin and I feel that depending on depending on your situation, whether you're buying to live in or you're buying to as investment, there's gonna be pros and cons of yes and no's, right? We don't know the future. Like we don't know if you're gonna buy a house now and then boom, some other catastrophic event happens and then now your house worth nothing. I mean, it can happen. You never know. But then but the thing is like timing is key, right? And but the thing is you can never time anything. So if you're gonna buy a house to live in, you might as well just buy it now. If you qualify for the loan and you qualify and you meet all the requirements to own a house, I think you should just go for it, right? Because there's never a better chance than now. That's kind of how it is. You gotta go get it now, and that's kind of and if the opportunity presents itself, then I think you should go get it. Uh, but don't overextend don't over leverage yourself, especially like if you already have a home and you're trying to buy like a second property for investment and you're trying to buy it in the city because you think like, hey, prices had dropped a little bit because everybody's leaving. Some people are selling their houses, blah 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 blah. But I mean, down the road, like you gotta make sure the economy is trending because a lot of businesses that are closed may not reopen, and that's a lot of job loss. And yes, tech workers. I don't think tech jobs is as big of a deal because most tech workers are remote regardless. So they're wherever they're working at now is probably gonna where they're gonna stay, and especially how a lot of these tech companies are really the policy is very liberal leaning, right? So they're like kind of like catered to employees. So it's kind of like I feel like I don't see the office becoming a big selling point moving in the future because I don't think anybody wants to go to the office. I mean, yes, for tech workers, yes, because they get all the perks, right? They get the free food, they get massages, they get the gym, they get everything. They basically can live at the office. Versus like other people who work remote, like me, I don't get these perks. So for me, I don't mind living at home because at home, you know, it's pretty comfortable. I must say, I got a nice bridge right here to look at. Yada yada. So you know, in closing video, any closing thoughts, Calvin?
Oh, just remember to like, comment, and subscribe. That's my thoughts.
And I think next week we might do a little fun video. We might get a drink of a choice, you know, a beverage. So may or may not contain alcohol, and then you know we talk about some like just some random fun topics, you know, just off the news, whatever's happening, and just kind of like and be intoxicated basically. All right, so thanks for watching. You know, let us know what you guys think about the housing market and if you guys are gonna be buying a house or not. And yeah, that'd be cool. So talk to you guys later. Peace.